Mom, I locked the door. Harry was caught cheating at our house when I returned home with the family. In a panic, they fled to the balcony, where Natalie, unaware of anything, locked them out. Harry and his companion were left shivering in the freezing cold outside. I left them trembling and called the police. Accompanied by some people, I went to them, and they were lost for words by the shocking turn of events. My name is Hannah Irving. I am 46 years old and work as a dorm mother at a construction company. My husband, Harry, works at the company, and we live in the family dormitory. Both Harry and I were previously employed at another company, but we were left wandering the streets when it went bankrupt following the economic collapse. We were left on the street. Harry has always been there for me. It's all about helping each other out in tough times. The president, who had worked with Harry at their previous job, always had a soft spot for him. Even after starting his own company, he kept an eye on Harry and said he could rely on him for anything. Remembering this, Harry humbly approached him for help. As promised, the president gladly accepted Harry's request and rescued us. Thanks to him, we now have a daughter, Natalie, and are living a smooth-sailing life. Except for one problem. Hey, Hannah, are you still working as a dorm mother? Why don't you become an employee and give Harry a break? You can't make much as a dorm mother, right? She is my best friend, Shelley Nelson. She doesn't look her age and is a beauty who works as a beauty salesperson. Thanks to her friendly and sociable personality, she has a lot of customers rooting for her. Some call her an amazing beauty advisor, and she is highly valued by her company, although she says her job is tough. Well, I do make a decent amount. And about giving Harry a break, he feels indebted to his current company and enjoys his work. It's not like I'm forcing him to work. He doesn't seem to be suffering. In fact, he looks happy to go to work every day. Even if I became a full-time employee, Harry wouldn't quit his job here, so nothing would change. Shelley has a straightforward personality, which doesn't sit well with other women. She claims to be a frank person, but depending on who you ask, she might just come off as rude. She often confuses bluntness with a lack of delicacy. However, this seems to work in her favor with men, as she never lacks male attention. A woman who isn't desired by men is as good as a dead leaf. What's the point of being a woman then? That's Shelley's motto, and she has a habit of looking down on other women. Still, if my spouse was a dorm mother, I'd feel like my love suddenly turned into an old lady. I wouldn't like that, Shelley commented. I used to love Shelley's straightforward personality. I'm more on the quiet side, and speaking my mind doesn't come easy to me. I admired Shelley, who was the opposite, and felt comfortable being around her. This feeling started when Shelley first became friends with me and said, "Hannah is an important friend to me. If any of you say something weird, you won't get away with it." Shelley, like a cool girl straight out of a teen drama, dazzled me. Being liked by her made me feel special, regardless of what others thought of her. I never left her side. But recently, Shelley's attitude has drastically changed. Now, she frequently makes snide remarks and puts me down. I'm 46 years old. It's natural for people to think of me as an older lady, but I'm okay with it because the dorm residents say they love my cooking. I'm not trying to be popular at this age. If I can make someone smile, that's enough for me. That's just lip service, you know. It's embarrassing to take that seriously. You've always been oblivious. Realize they're just being polite. Even when I try to stay positive, Shelley responds with icy words. Honestly, I was shocked by her comments. People at the cafe probably heard Shelley's words, too. The concerned looks from others made me feel even more embarrassed. Sorry, I'm late. Oh, Harry. You must be tired from work. Did you have to work late? That's tough. Here, take this if you like. Sweets are good when you're tired. You loved chocolates from that place, right? Harry arrived just then, after finishing his work. Seeing Harry, Shelley's demeanor changed instantly. It made me feel uneasy about her attitude towards him. You remember well. But why does Shelley know Harry's preferences? Of course, I do. He's my best friend's husband. I know his likes and dislikes. Remember, we went together to buy Valentine's chocolates for Harry before. Have you forgotten? But really, is it normal to keep track of someone else's husband's preferences? Since Harry arrived, Shelley's sudden change in behavior has only increased my discomfort and suspicion towards her. Whether she noticed my wary gaze or not, Shelley smirked meaningfully and gave Harry a coquettish look across the table. We were just talking about how Hannah has aged, right? What do you think, Harry? Don't you think, compared to me, Hannah seems a bit old ladylike? Wait, why are you comparing yourself? And your story has changed from earlier. Surprised by Shelley's abrupt comment, I couldn't hide my fluster, and Harry, scratching the back of his head uncomfortably, made an unbelievable statement. Yeah, actually, I've thought that for a while now. She seems older than before. Well, it's inevitable when she's next to Shelley. Shelley is a beauty advisor after all, seems to have high beauty standards. Maybe it's not that Hannah is aging appropriately, but Shelley is just too beautiful. Shelley's statement surprised me, but Harry's words shocked me even more. Instead of being considerate towards me, he started to praise Shelley. I felt a wave of discomfort towards Harry's unapologetic words. After all, who would expect a husband to put down his wife like that? It lacks all sense of delicacy. Unbelievably, their teasing of me continued for a while, and after that day, I decided to stop meeting Shelley. After returning home, I had a huge fight with Harry, and an awkward atmosphere lingered between us. Mom, what happened between you and Dad? You guys haven't been talking at all lately. Natalie is in her senior year of high school and has a mature sense of understanding. Not only can she distinguish right from wrong, but she's also adept at reading the room. She's observant of her surroundings. Unlike me, she's sociable and cheerful, so much so that her classmates rely on her enough to make her the class representative. Her words, so full of certainty, made me physically react. There's been a lot going on. Is this about that time you went out for coffee with Miss Shelley? How do you know about that, Natalie? Natalie is preparing for SAT. She's a top student, and her teachers have high hopes for her. I wanted to spare her the worry, so I kept the humiliation I received from Harry and the others to myself. However, somehow Natalie knew about it. Thinking Harry had told her, I trembled with anger. But as it turned out, an acquaintance of Natalie's had been at the cafe and reported back to her. Natalie had been waiting for me to start explaining the whole situation. So, what exactly happened? My classmates mentioned they hadn't heard the details, but they said you had a really tough time. Actually, I hesitated whether to tell her or not, but since it had come to this, there was no hiding it. I told Natalie the truth about what had happened and confessed that things had been awkward with Harry since then. After hearing the story, Natalie just muttered "I see," and then kept quiet. What were we talking about such things during her important season? It made me feel like a failure as a parent. While I was drowning in these miserable thoughts, she suddenly began to ruffle my hair. Hey, Natalie! Mom, you've always taken on too much by yourself. Confused by her sudden move, Natalie looked at me with a sort of exasperated amusement. I hate to say this, but I've never really liked Miss Shelley. It always seemed like she was using you, or like you were just there to make her look better, you know? From a daughter's perspective, she just seemed like a nasty aunt. But she was your friend, right? So, I didn't want to say anything. Just watching from the sidelines made my skin crawl, so I stayed out of it. Maybe it's good you cut ties with her? It's like a detox for the soul. I was taken aback by Natalie's words, spoken with such nonchalance. She had only met Shelley a few times, yet she saw right through her. I realized that her silence was her own form of love. She thought it wasn't her place to intervene if I liked someone. Hearing Natalie's compassion and warmth brought tears to my eyes. About Dad, don't worry about what he said. A man who can't stand up for the person he loves when they're being hurt is trash. It's totally justified for you to be upset, and from my point of view, if a person is only concerned with appearances but is rotten on the inside, they're no better than an ugly person. Dad's being foolish for picking on a mom who's trying so hard. You don't have to take those words seriously. I know how hard you're working, and I think it's really cool. All the words I wanted to hear from Harry were conveyed to me by Natalie. Her bright, sunny smile healed me, and her words rescued my wounded heart. My pent-up emotions overflowed like a waterfall, and I ended up crying on the spot. Without saying anything, Natalie just hugged me. Your dad might lack sensitivity and not understand a woman's heart, but I'm sure he's thankful for you, Mom. He's praised you behind your back before. So, whenever you feel like it, maybe you could talk to Dad again? Despite everything, I love seeing you two laugh together like fools. After a good cry and regaining my composure, Natalie offered words of encouragement. No matter how many faults Harry had, there were also good things about him, which is why I married him. Natalie seemed to understand that too. I deeply nodded in agreement to her words, and Natalie responded with a bright smile. Just as she suggested, I decided to talk to Harry today. Running away won't solve anything. With that thought, I waited for Harry to come home, and for the first time in a long while, we managed to have a conversation. Thanks to Natalie being there, the discussion went smoothly, and it seemed we were on our way back to a harmonious family life. Just as I was thinking that, I was summoned by the president and received an unbelievable confession. That's all the information I have. No way! Harry wouldn't, not him. The shocking truth delivered by the president left me reeling. It felt like the world went dark, and I wanted to look away from reality. However, the president's secretary, a woman, insisted on the credibility of his words and showed me some documents as evidence. Honestly, I'm quite shaken myself. I've always treated him like a real brother, and you've been so kind to me. But there are witnesses. And now, we have this evidence. There's no doubt he's been unfaithful. How could Harry and Shelley? The content delivered by the president was information about Shelley and Harry having secret meetings. The initial tip-off came from Harry's coworker, who witnessed Shelley and Harry disappearing into a hotel district. On another day, the president himself witnessed their affair, and additional information made its way to him. Harry holds the position of department head and is deeply trusted by his subordinates, some of whom live in the dormitory and admire me greatly. Unable to stand it any longer, these young employees reported the situation to the president. He felt he couldn't ignore it and decided to disclose everything to me. I never expected the woman involved to be your friend, Hannah. Have you talked to Harry about this? Not yet. Considering your daughter, I thought it best to consult with you first. Could you let me hold on to this information for now? I'd like to look into it further and discuss it with you later. The president agreed with my request, and for the moment, the matter was left in my care. I took the day off work to use various contacts to investigate further. What was discovered was that Shelley and Harry were having an affair, after all. They had started their relationship about 2 years ago, secretly meeting up even during work hours, with some friends being aware of it. But the astonishing revelations didn't stop there. Did you realize Shelley was using you? I contacted a mutual friend of Shelley's and me, who shocked me with her revelation. You and Shelley were close in school, right? But when you weren't around, Shelley would say things like you were just an accessory to make herself look better. That you weren't really friends. I couldn't accept what I was hearing. I couldn't believe that Shelley had thought of me that way since our school days. It was hard to believe. The friend who told me this said she hesitated to speak out at the time because she knew how much I admired Shelley and didn't want to hurt me. If you got on Shelley's bad side, who knew what she might do? But now, I'm not involved anymore, so I decided to tell you. Sorry for bringing it up now. Please, don't apologize. Shelley had quite an obsession, jealousy, and resentment towards you. You should be careful. She's not a good person. My friend said, ending our call. I was once again reminded of Shelley's scumminess, realizing that this whole situation stemmed from her spite and jealousy towards me. I also learned that Shelley had been envious because I got married before her pride wounded. She always wanted what others had. And it seemed she was enjoying the sense of superiority by taking Harry from me. Shelley's comments about feeling sorry for Harry made sense if she had been meeting him secretly and hearing all the details from him. Unforgivable. They've been making a fool of me. In that moment, my affection turned to hatred, and I decided to seek revenge on Shelley and Harry. Then came the day to execute my plan. I had previously told Harry that I would be visiting my parents' house. It's unusual for you to go back home all of a sudden. Natalie wanted to see her grandma. With my SAT coming up, there won't be much chance to go out, right? Now's the only time I can meet her grandparents, so we thought we'd take the opportunity. I wish I could come too, but there's no one to cover for me at work this weekend. Please give my regards to your parents. Harry said, looking guilty. Telling Harry not to worry, Natalie and I left the house with bright smiles. Instead of going to my parents' house, I picked up my parents and, with some persuasion, brought them back to our home along with Natalie. Thanks for having us. Is Harry not here? Our dormitory requires permission to invite friends and family. I had arranged everything with the president in advance, so my parents' visit was approved. He said he had to work today. It's tough, being out in this cold rain. Outdoor work in the dead of winter is chilly. With this amount of rain, they'll probably keep working though. It was the middle of winter. The cold intensified with the rain, and stepping outside without an umbrella would be an instant knockout. Catching a cold was a certainty. Mom, I locked the door. Amidst this, Natalie noticed the balcony door was open and came over after locking it. Dad can be so careless. Even though we live on the 5th floor, what if a burglar got in? Naturally, Natalie hadn't realized. Why, in a household that doesn't smoke, was the balcony the only place unlocked? The moment I heard her say that, I couldn't help but laugh. 2 minutes later. Suddenly, we heard knocking on the glass from the balcony, and my parents and Natalie were shocked. Did you hear that? It's coming from the balcony. Don't worry, all 3 of you. It's just some foolish people panicking. I stopped Natalie and my parents from worrying and immediately called the police. I also contacted the president to come over. And when the police and the president arrived, we headed for the balcony. What in the world is going on? My parents and Natalie were utterly confused. To show them the surprising scene, I swiftly opened the curtains. Everyone present was speechless at the sight on the balcony. There, Shelley and Harry were squatting, completely naked, looking pale and staring at us. Dad! What are you doing? Natalie's eyes widened in shock. In contrast, my parents seemed to understand the situation and nodded, while the president cast a cold gaze at the two. Can we let them in now? That's fine by me. Hearing that, the police officer unlocked the balcony door. The moment they realized the door was unlocked, the two rushed inside seeking warmth. Why didn't you help us sooner? We could have almost frozen to death. The cold outside had completely chilled their bodies, leaving Shelley and Harry barely able to speak properly. Their lips were purple and their skin was pale. They glared at us as if to say we were almost too late to save them, and I sighed heavily in disbelief. You say that as if everything is okay? Unintimidated by their comments, Harry, shivering and rubbing his arms, retorted to me. What did you say? Are you really not seeing the situation here? Hearing that, Harry and Shelley seemed to regain some composure, finally realizing the gravity of their predicament by looking at their own state and the gathering crowd. They paled, panicked about what it all meant. It looks like you didn't expect me to bring my parents back home. Conveniently calling Shelley overplayed right into my hands. Thanks to you, we've got all the evidence we needed. What are you talking about? Playing dumb? This situation proves you two are having an affair. The police officers who had arrived were taken aback, and my parents and the president looked on coldly. Only Natalie was confused, and my parents pulled her towards them protectively.
Wait a minute. An affair? With you standing there like that, you're still trying to deny it?
Where did you put your clothes?
Well,
assuming they were in the bedroom, I opened the bedroom door for everyone to see, and sure enough, their clothes were scattered there, with the bed in disarray. The police officers were aghast. The two quickly gathered their clothes and hid to change.
After being caught in such a scene, you still claim there's no affair? And why are you back home? Weren't you supposed to be visiting your parents?
They tried to shift the conversation, attempting to blur the lines. But I wouldn't let them.
I said I was going to my parents' house, but I never said I was staying overnight. What? This isn't what we agreed on. You said to come over since they wouldn't be back today.
Harry found himself under attack from both sides. The president then added more pressure.
By the way, our company requires permission to let friends or acquaintances into the company housing. You know there are penalties for not following the rules. But if that's the case, Hannah too. I had already obtained permission from the president. And he's already aware of your affair. I invited him here to witness this decisive moment. What?
The moment Harry realized everything was planned, his face showed utter surprise. As the police officers, realizing the two knew each other, started to leave, I stopped them and pointed at Shelley with a shocking accusation.
I did not give this person permission to enter my home. This is a case of trespassing. Please take her into custody. What? Wait a minute.
Shelley protested my accusation of illegal entry. With a cold gaze, I retorted as she tried to argue her way out.
I'm an acquaintance of yours, and I know him, so it's not illegal entry. Besides, I was invited here by him. Trespassing doesn't apply. I haven't given my permission.
The president cut off Shelley's argument.
Even if you were an acquaintance of Hannah and her family, if I sue you, it's a different story. You've entered our company's property without visiting permission. That's clear trespassing. I believe she can be taken in for breaking and entering.
Realizing this was the intention all along, Shelley glared at me in frustration. But my goal wasn't just that. The police couldn't leave if trespassing applied, and they stayed to see the situation resolved.
You two having an affair has been heard not just from rumors. I've reported it to your parents, and they've been listening to this entire conversation. Eh?
Harry was shocked by my revelation. Then my mother took out her phone and showed the screen. The phone screen displayed an ongoing call, with Harry's mom on the other end. Meaning this whole conversation was being broadcasted to my in-laws.
Since when? From the moment Hannah called the police. She whispered to me to contact your mother right away.
My mother explained and switched the phone to speaker mode so everyone could hear the voice from the call. Right then, my father-in-law's angry voice boomed through.
Harry! What the heck are you doing? Making Hannah sad like this, don't think you'll get off easily. Yikes!
My father-in-law is especially strict and despises dishonesty. He values family above all and often says his daughter-in-law is more important to him than his own life. To think his son would commit such a blunder. It's natural for a parent to feel ashamed and unforgiving.
Have you even considered Natalie? Did you think about how your reckless actions would affect her?
My mother-in-law is equally justice-oriented and puts family first. Without a doubt, Natalie is the one who's suffering the most. Why don't you understand that infidelity only brings unhappiness to children? My mother-in-law lamented continuously. Empathizing with her, my mother shed tears, and my father glared at Harry as if unforgiving.
Natalie!
After being hit with reality from everyone, Harry seemed to finally grasp the gravity of his actions. He approached Natalie, looking pale and seeking help, but the police protected Natalie from him. Natalie didn't say a word, just looked down. A high school girl was shocked by such a soap opera-like scenario. It's natural for that. As I thought this, she suddenly burst into laughter.
I always thought I had a hopeless father, but I never imagined he could be this stupid. I'm glad at least my mom is sane. If she was as finished as a person as you, I might have given up on life.
Natalie mocked Harry with her laughter. Her sudden change shocked everyone, and she continued with more surprising words.
You got fooled by that woman's looks and drifted away with momentary feelings. Dad's really stupid, huh? If you hadn't done that, we could have been a happy family of 3 right now, and you could have kept your job. Huh?
Harry's voice sounded absurdly out of place in response to the sudden revelation. Mocking him, Natalie pointed and burst into raucous laughter.
Of course. In this situation, do you really think you can still work at this company? It's impossible. Causing such a scandal, there's no way it wouldn't be a problem. A scandal.
At that moment, Natalie opened her phone to show a video from a social media site.
This video, that's you guys, right? Someone from the neighborhood filmed it and spread it around. It even reached me, and it's honestly hilarious. The power of the internet is scary. I keep getting worried messages from my classmates.
The video showed Shelley and Harry arguing on the balcony right after we got home. Luckily, it was filmed from below, hiding their bodies from the shoulders down. But their faces were fully visible, making it easy to identify them. Their argument was also captured, leaving no room for denial.
This will soon trace back to the company, and it might even cause trouble for the people living in this company housing. With things like this, there's no way you can work here, right? Why do you think I called the president? Not just for trespassing and adultery. Even a fool can see that. Use your brain a bit.
See? Natalie tapped her head a few times with her index finger, taunting Harry. Seeing this side of Natalie he had never seen before, Harry was speechless. Natalie had been silent up until now because she was responding to messages from friends.
Let's get the full story at the station. Wait a minute!
As the situation seemed to calm down, the police took Shelley into custody. Harry also had to go for a thorough interrogation, begging me for forgiveness.
Please, Hannah, forgive me. I was just jealous. You were always happy, and I was always alone. I just wanted to tease you a bit. I was possessed or something. I only truly love Hannah. Please, let us be a family of 3 again. Give me another chance.
Furious at their self-centered pleas, my anger erupted. I shouted curses at both of them, as if to take out my frustration so far.
Don't make me laugh. You think I'd ever forgive you for what you've done? You have no idea how much damage you've caused me, Natalie, and everyone around us. Feel it in the police station. I won't listen to your cries. I'll make sure you regret everything.
Seeing my anger like never before, Shelley and Harry were left speechless. And were quietly taken away by the police. Afterward, during the police interrogation, as the president had said, Shelley was charged. She was fined $900 for trespassing, but that was not the end of it. I also demanded compensation for the affair, totaling $45,000 from her. Moreover, I heard that friends spread the word, and it even affected Shelley's company. Customers complained, saying they didn't want to buy products from someone who had an affair, leading to a temporary plunge in business. She was fired from her company for being responsible. Harry was also dismissed for causing the scandal. Taking into account the emotional damage to me and our daughter, he was charged $72,000 in damages. I have no idea where the 2 of them are now or what they're doing. The repayment is being made punctually each month, so they must be working somewhere. As for Harry, my in-laws are being especially strict, so I've left his further handling to them. Causing trouble at the company, when I tried to leave the company housing with Natalie. But the dorm residents united to stop me. One of the only joys I had was eating your cooking. Please don't go.
Many shared this sentiment. The company also doesn't want you to leave. Please consider staying.
Persuaded by the president and the residents, Natalie and I decided to continue working at the company. However, unable to live in the same house as Harry, we moved to an apartment close to the company.
It might not be much, but this apartment is managed by my wife. If you ever need anything, you can always rely on us. Your presence motivates our residents to work hard.
Grateful to the ever-supportive president, Natalie and I started our new life.
We did it, Mom. I passed the SAT.
Despite concerns about Natalie's SAT amid these adversities, she triumphed and was admitted. Seeing her grow so resilient inspired me to not give up either.